Hello, Seka.
You woke me up, and now I have to deal with your shit. What?
I just wanted to know who the best character in the game is.
No, you didn't. What'd you really come for?
You know me too well. I want to know what the best spear is for Hu Tao.
Dude, you're free to play. You don't have any 5-star speed.
Don't you remember? I have Primordial Jade Spear.
Oh, yeah.
So which is it?
Well, why do you care? You're not going to summon for Hu Tao.
I might.
For this video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about weapons for Hu Tao specifically. This is not a tier list ranking weapons for any other character but Hu Tao. Don't use this as a metric to rank weapons for any other character, please, because this is not true at all for any other character. Only for Hu Tao. And this is based off of my experiences after like 1 day of playing Hu Tao, not after like months of playing Hu Tao. So just take it with a grain of salt. This is where I have seen after like, 12 hours or so. So this is just what I would recommend after that point. We also had 100,000 followers on Twitch today. So thank you so much. Alrighty, boys and grills. So we painstakingly put together a tier list for y'all regarding spears for Hu Tao and what the best spears are for Hu Tao. So in the dog shit tier for don't even bother. First off, we have the Black Tassel R5, Crescent Pike R5, Dragon Spine R5, Dragon Spine Spear R1, Crescent Pike, Black Tassel, and the White Tassel R1. All these weapons are horrible for Hu Tao. Now, why are they horrible for Hu Tao? Well, if you're going to be using a 3-star weapon for Hu Tao, at least pick a good one. All right. The only reason people ask about the Black Tassel in general, by the way, is if you're going to be using a Black Tassel that has an HP percentage stat on it, and a lot of people like that about it. So the Black Tassel in general, since it has that HP percentage stat, it has a 46% extra HP, which is kind of nice, but that's all you get out of it because the Refine's gonna give you increased damage versus slime, so that's big dog shit. So the White Tassel, though, it only increases normal attack damage by 24% at low end, and it gives you 22% crit rate at R1. It's not really worth doing, but when you get that thing to R5, it's much better. So that's what I would consider like on that weapon. For both the Dragon Spine Spear and the Crescent Pike, both of which these are physical damage weapons that also give you an attack spike damage. The Dragon Spine Spear potentially could be okay because it does that big nuke hit against enemies, but no one's really should be building into this weapon for Hu Tao specifically, because on a physical damage bonus weapon that she doesn't even gain physical damage while also doing a spike damage of physical damage, that's really stupid. So I definitely don't recommend that weapon at all for anybody who building Hu Tao ever. Crescent Pike, a lot of people think about this weapon, but it does really well on additional normal damage and everything on the energy particles that you get, but this is not a good weapon for Hu Tao at all at any refine because it just adds physical damage to your kit and has a physical damage main stat all the way, so it doesn't provide enough to your value. So all these weapons I definitely do not recommend doing at low refines or high refines. I'll pause that real quick. All right. Now, then we got into the next tier, and this tier is going to be better than nothing. In this tier, we have the Vortex Vanquisher 5-star weapon. We have the Royal Spear 4-star weapon, the Lithic Spear rank 1, and Favonius. I'm just going to go over the refined ones for now, and then we'll go into the R5s in a minute. All right. So the Vortex Vanquisher as a 5-star weapon is actually not very good for Hu Tao at all because it's an attack percentage based weapon. And because it's an attack percentage based weapon with a very low amount of base attack, both of these stats kind of work against you on Hu Tao and really don't give you enough to your kit to be valuable. The other thing on it is that Hu Tao will also gain damage for her attack percentage based upon this stat here. So overall, you're going to be sinking really heavily into attack percentage when she's the lowest base attack character in the entire game. So you're getting the least value out of this weapon out of any character on the game. So even this 5-star weapon is actually very horrible for Hu Tao. So at every refine, I definitely would not recommend this for Hu Tao. You'd be way better off giving this weapon to like Zhang Ling or something like that over Hu Tao. It's actually that bad for her, in my opinion. Okay. The Lithic Spear at R1 in my opinion, is actually not a good weapon in general. I don't really like it because the other thing that, again, as I mentioned, this is an attack percentage based weapon, and this weapon, since it increases your attack percentage, is probably not the best way to go. But the only thing you get out of this weapon at Refine 1 is only an extra 12% crit rate at maximum. And 12% crit rate, if you're really looking to get that, you'd be better off using another weapon like the White Tassel, and that would actually be a much better weapon at Refine 1. So that's why I've rated the White Tassel actually even higher than this weapon, because that's really all you're getting out of it. The attack percentage doesn't really fly, and you don't get enough out of it. Favonius Lance R1 and R5 are listed in here as well. For Favonius Lance, you can provide a large amount of energy recharge to the rest of your team to give you extra energy particles, which is really, really nice with energy recharge. But the thing with Hu Tao is that she really doesn't need energy recharge. So it's better than nothing because you do boost your team a little bit more. And a really jank build, you could use it. But I don't really find this weapon to be super helpful in general. So I would not recommend it for players. The last thing is going to be the Prototype Starglitter, and I really don't like this weapon at any refine at all for Hu Tao. I've put it in here. I forgot to put the R1 in here for some reason, but the Refine 5 Prototype Starglitter is not great for Hu Tao, in my opinion. The reason I don't think the Prototype Starglitter is a good craftable weapon for Hu Tao, if I can find it here. It didn't actually. Let me pull it up. Where is it? Here it is. So the Prototype Starglitter increases your normal and charge attack damage by 16% and has 2 stacks. It seems good in theory, but it also provides energy recharge. But there's actually a weapon that does the same thing, but gives you more value. So I don't find this weapon at all to be good. You're actually way better off with the 3-star weapon comparison. And that 3-star weapon is going to be the White Tassel. The White Tassel, if you didn't know, at R5 is going to provide 48% normal attack damage. Now, you do get charge attack bonus on the Prototype Starglitter, but you also get crit rate on this weapon, which just puts it leagues ahead of the other weapons. So White Tassel is going to be a far better weapon for Hu Tao's than the Prototype Starglitter. So my recommendation, of course, is to go with that. Okay. For other weapons that are good enough weapons, the weapons that are really, really good for her, these are all weapons that can work for her, but are not really bringing out the potential of Hu Tao. The 5-star Primordial Jade Spear, the 5-star Skyward Spine at Refine 1. We got the Dragon's Bane at Refine 1, Deathmatch at Refine 1, Blackcliff Refine 1, Royal Spear Refine 5. I'll go over that in a second. Lithic Spear Refine 5, Deathmatch, and Blackcliff. All these weapons are in the same tier for these are good enough. They're going to do enough damage. Pretty much going to have similar results across the board on all these weapons for Hu Tao. And this is where these kinds of weapons really get brought out by the artifacts that you have for Hu Tao, and you're kind of going to just carry your overall build with those weapons. You're going to get good damage on these weapons, and the damage from these weapons will be pretty linear across the board with every refine for these types of weapons. So Blackcliff weapons, if you didn't know, give you, when you get kills, you get extra attack percentage. But again, attack percentage on Hu Tao is kind of, lackluster. The same can be said of Deathmatch, both at R1 and R5, because you're going to get similar values there. Lithic Spear, however, is going to get a little bit higher crit chance on this, of course, at Refine 5, because a Lithic Spear gets you 7% crit rate per stack, and that's a total of 28% crit rate. So it's comparable to that you would get it for a Deathmatch. So I can definitely see the Lithic at R5 being comparable. And you get attack percentage stacks on top of that too, so you can be a little bit better. So technically, yeah, it'll be here if at best case scenario. And a lot of Hu Tao team rely on leeway characters anyway, so that works out. The Royal Spear at R5, though, was the one thing I wanted to talk about. Royal Spear at R5, basically, after you miss a crit, you get 16% crit rate, which is really cool. So only at R5 do I find this weapon to be very good for Hu Tao, because the amount of hits and the speed of Hu Tao make this actually a kind of a force to be reckoned with, because every so often, you're going to start ramping toward really, really high crit chance, and you almost always crit after those points. And since it has so many hits, this can then trigger a million freaking times, which is really, really cool. And as a weapon, I can definitely see this weapon being somewhat viable on Hu Tao at Refine 5, but I don't really recommend anyone to go into that route unless you're being crazy. It's not really the best choice, in my opinion. But if you're a mad lad and you want to test it, it'd probably get comparable damage. Sure. But Blackcliff, the last one we're going to talk about is Dragon's Bane. Dragon's Bane at low refines provides 20% extra damage when enemies are infused with Pyro or Hydro. That's going to give you a decent amount of damage as well as giving you a 221 elemental mastery bonus. So both of these things are valuable for Hu Tao, and she can scale off both of these very well. But you're going to get pretty similar values on an R1 Dragon's Bane than you are to any of the weapons that I just mentioned in this list. They're not going to be over the moon damage increases. Both the Skyward Spine as well as the Primordial Jade Spear, I've only tested the Skyward Spine, and I've seen that the damage increase that I get from the Skyward Spine is pretty linear between these weapons here. The thing I have to make up for, of course, is the energy recharge main stat that the Skyward Spine does have. But the thing is, the Skyward Spine is that has a really high base attack value, which allows you to go with a more HP percentage in your build, so you can actually get a very large high stack amount of HP percentage. And if you did have this with Refine 1, you also get attack speed bonuses and some crit rate on it, which is kind of cool. The extra hit proc is kind of nice, but at Refine 5, you're going to see much bigger things, and that's what I want to talk about as well going into the next part. So because this weapon gets exceptionally better for crit chance, and you get up to 16% extra crit chance, this weapon will provide just as much as the Refine 5 Primordial Jade Spear as far as the crit chance percentage goes. And the damage percentage increase here is going to be pretty linear to what you would really see for the attack speed increase over here. So I would see that these two weapons would provide similar values as far as what you could really get. Staff of Homa will probably do about the same amount of damage between these three weapons, and that's where I really see it's going to arrive. The Dragon's Bane, however, is going to provide probably the most value for your overall damage for your kit for a 4-star weapon, and R5 is probably the best 4-star weapon that you could potentially use as far as overall damage. Now, I would say that it would probably be a little bit about the same as these other 5-star weapons is what you can really receive because of the amount of damage increase. But of course, only Mad Lads are going to have R5 freaking 10 levels of resources for R5 Homa. But if you wanted to see comparable damage values, I've seen people with the Dragon's Bane start really popping off on their damage, and they can get pretty close to where a Homa is. I'd say Homa is probably just above this. Probably if it wanted to rate it right about here, it'd be just above these ones, but not so far above that you're going to see amazing damage increases overall. So if you are crazy enough to have these refined out for these 5-star weapons, sure. But for Refine 5 on this weapon does provide 36% damage boost, which is going to be a pretty heavy amount. And you get some very big melts on that as well. Is there anything anybody wants to add to this video besides that? R3 Dragon's Bane? Well, if the R1 is here and the R5 is here, what do you think? Don't think R5 Dragon's Bane is better than an R1 Jade? The question was brought up is I don't think an R1 Jade for Hu Tao is worse than an R5 Dragon Spear. Well, with this weapon, you get a 22% crit rate bump on your overall set, which is the lowest possible amount that you get for a 5-star weapon. At Refine 1, you only get a 12% damage increase, and the main stat of this weapon gives you a 3.2% attack per stack. And if you can get to max stacks, of course, you're going to get that 12% damage bump. So what's going to be better, a 36% damage boost that you can get, or about 200 attack and 200 attack overall plus 22% crit rate? I would much rather have a 36% damage bump plus the 200 elemental mastery that you get out of Hu Tao. I think that would provide much more value, especially since how often you're actually going to do vaporizes with a character like Shinku on your team. And I feel like a Jade Spear would be much better suited toward another character like Zhang Ling or Zhang Li or Zhao on your team versus using this weapon for Hu Tao. It's just your opinion? No, don't worry about it. That's why we're talking about it. All right, guys. Well, my name's Sekapoko. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, of course, like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Let me know you guys think about your weapons in the comment section below and what you really see on your weapons. I just wanted to put this together as a brief idea so you guys can get a kind of baseline information of where weapons are really going to be as far as power levels, etc. So you can get an idea of what you want to do on your kits. Have a great day, guys.